I didn't think we'd get to episode 9 on this build series, to be honest. I thought it would be finished way sooner. It turns out that the finishing touches take the most amount of time, and in this episode I wanted to see what it would be like if we took the top off the mini fabrication desk setup, because I moved into a new apartment, has a lot more space, and I like the look of it a little bit more when it's open. So let me know in the comment section if you agree with that. I think in any build or design you go a little bit too far, and then sometimes it's worth it to just pull back a little bit, simplify the design from that point. So this video is part of the mini fabrication desk setup build series. If you haven't seen the prior videos, you can check out the playlist. I'll leave a link down below. Of course, there's quite a lot of hardware in place that we specifically designed around, like the FlexiSpot legs, which were integrated into it. And the legs that we're taking out of this build we'll be implementing into a different build, which is an upcoming video I'm really excited about. But it's really nice that there's some extra room in here now, because I was running into some issues with the side panels where they'd be hitting the FlexiSpot legs sometimes. So by having that open space, we can integrate some deeper hardware, put a computer in here, that kind of stuff. And because that top panel actually had the lighting integrated, I wanted to find a new place to put lighting so that we could actually see what we're doing on the work surface. So I was experimenting with this tube light. Eventually I made a design for it, but I didn't really like the look of it. I'm kind of getting into that territory where things are a little bit scrappy and I'm just trying to put things together, and it's really tempting to just finish it off by putting some empty panels on the side and just saying like, okay, it's done. But I really want to get this one, properly sorted and completely finished before I actually call the series a quit. A little while ago, Nuno from Terminal actually reached out and offered to send me an e-ink display, which is really awesome. And so meanwhile, this thing has been sitting on my kitchen countertop and just displaying like the weather and my calendar, and I was really enjoying this device. Like, it's really awesome. You have this dashboard with a bunch of plugins in there, a calendar plugin, which is the one I was most excited for, like having your calendar always there, and the e-ink just refreshes every 15 minutes. That's really cool. You can even make custom plugins or connect it to Notion, so there's a lot of versatility with this thing, and there's a lot of hype around it as well because it is so simple and it is so well designed. Eventually I decided I wanted to integrate it into the mini fabrication desk setup, and while I was probing for spots to put this thing, I noticed that the outer housing is a little bit too thick to actually integrate into one of these panels. So I thought I'd just take it apart and then see if I could integrate it in that way. The insides are really quite simple. It has a simple e-ink display and of course a battery and a little control module. And the e-ink display is really quite thin, so I thought maybe I could design it so that that outer shell is the 3D printed insert. So I took to the CAD and made an indent for the display to sit, and then complete cutout to show the display. And that's actually just inside of the insert itself. I didn't really leave any space to put the battery or the little control module. I thought I'd just leave those hanging off of it. So moving the air quality monitor one panel lower, and that way we can easily see the e-ink display. Something I have difficulty with is when something doesn't quite fit, I try to force it into place, and 9 times out of 10 I ruin something and it takes me even more time to fix it. Not just in build projects, but in life in general as well. I made the 3D printed insert. I thought I measured it all out. I pushed it into place and you can see little micro cracks forming in the back of it. Put it into place, screwed it all down, might have done some damage there as well. And so this is actually the first time something like this has happened, where I received a sponsored product and I decided to take it apart before actually filming a proper integration for it, which is stupid on my part. So it appears I might have ruined the e-ink display. We have a crack right down the middle over here and a bunch of ink blobs somehow. It still updates and it still shows partly the weather right now. So that really kind of sucks. And sometimes it's better to just continue with the project and pretend it didn't happen, fix it later down the line. In one of the prior episodes, we made this panel for a ratchet, and I didn't really like the design of it. The bits keep falling out, of course, and magnets aren't strong enough to hold them in place. It does look really good, but going for a more standard design where we actually have them drop into place is a lot more functional, of course. So I took off the panel, went back to the CAD. I wanted it to be more universal in that regard as well, where each bit fits into every single hole, and that way you can easily put stuff back in a spot, and you're not actually searching for the proper one. So I've been using the iPad Pro for some pretty heavy tasks these days, and I really enjoy it. I was wondering if any of you use the iPad Pro with really awesome apps, maybe Affinity or DaVinci Resolve, that kind of stuff. I'm looking to get most of the Pro tools actually on this device and shift some of the workload of my YouTube channel onto this iPad. So once that's all modeled out, you can send it off to the 3D printer. Now, if you don't have a 3D printer or you don't want to deal with all that hassle with 3D printing, you can check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers a lot of high-end manufacturing services ranging from PCB production and assembly, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, and of course also 3D printing. You can simply upload a file, you get an instant quote for what something is going to cost, and then send it off to be 3D printed. And they do this with really high quality machines, so you can also send stuff off to them to be 3D printed in metal or CNC machines, and that's really awesome for makers like us. So definitely check out PCBWay. I left some links in the description down below. Special thanks for sponsoring this video. So looking back at that first panel integration, I really can't believe that I did such a bad job at actually designing that one. And most of the time, having a very simplistic design is the best. In this case, just some buckets essentially for stuff to drop in. And the reason I'm putting these on the outside of this mini fabrication desk setup instead of building them into a drawer, for example, is for some reason, whenever I put stuff in drawers, I can't see that something is missing. So I don't link the stuff in my brain like, okay, I saw that something was missing there, I saw it laying on the table. It doesn't connect. And putting stuff into a drawer is also a two-step process, which is kind of justifying my very strange design here, of course, but it actually works for me. And I highly recommend you try it out if you lose stuff constantly during a project and it's slowing you down to a point where you just you go mad at a certain stage. In the earlier stage of the design phase of this project, I was also considering putting PTZ cameras in place with a control panel and a recorder. We might actually be able to implement that idea again. Seems like we got rid of the FLEXIBOT legs. We could put a camera on each side and do a live stream from this setup if we ever wanted to. Now, in this video, I just wanted to put a security camera in place. Not necessarily for security reasons whatsoever, but sometimes it's really nice to shove a setup into place and have the security camera pointing at a 3D printer, for example, which is on a different setup. And then when I'm away at my partner's place, for example, I can actually check up on the 3D printer. So as always, I upload every single design that I make on my Patreon page. You can check that out over there, download the design just if you want to, and all of the proceeds go directly back into the channel. So it really helps me out. Definitely check it out if you have the time. And the insert for the security camera goes into one of the back plates, which initially was made for the cables to be going up into the top segment. So we won't be using that back segment anymore, and we can implement this camera insert. In this case, I'm using this Tapo security camera, and it's pretty good actually because it folds in on itself when it's in privacy mode. So it could theoretically still listen in, but it can't actually see when it's all folded down. As I also mentioned in the beginning of the video, the top segment actually had all of the lighting integrated. And so I wanted to take those spotlights off the top panel and put them in the rear of the setup as well. And I wasn't really sure about this at first because I'm not sure if I'm going to be shoving this thing against the wall. And so when it's standing in the middle of the space, this might look really bad. But we can always replace this insert and put it somewhere else. In one of the prior episodes, we mounted the project panel onto this as well with some 3D printed inserts. And I left a gap in there for the same type of spotlights we put in the rear. And so I shoved those into place as well. And this will shine nicely on the work surface itself. What I really enjoy about implementing lighting in this way is it somewhat separates it from the background. So when you have lighting implemented into the space itself, then it just becomes part of the space. But in this way, the setup is completely loose from the environment. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll stick around for episode 10, which will be the final one. I have decided that 10 episodes is absolutely the max for this channel. And yeah, I hope it gave you some inspiration and hopefully see you in the next one.